Hi everyone, my name is Araceli, aka Chelly. Welcome back to my channel. My channel. And today on Chelly's Mental Wealth, we're going to be discussing narcissistic personality disorder. Yes, peeps. I know we've been hearing this thrown around. There's either narcissism, narcissistic, or it's just those three. Basically, what I am going to be talking about in this video is the history as to how this word came about. I'm also going to be discussing characteristics as to what makes someone get diagnosed or labeled as a narcissistic person. I will also be talking about some theories as to why someone might develop a narcissistic personality. And at the end, of course, I'm going to be discussing a couple of treatments that you may want to do to nip that in the butt and not be narcissistic. Or maybe you're dealing with someone who is narcissistic and you want to point them in the right direction, okay? So let's get this video started. Turn your back. Used to be. All right, so the history. The word narcissistic actually came from a Greek myth from a man called Narcissism. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I'm going to put it down on the screen so you guys can see and you guys can actually look it up. Basically, this young man looked at himself in the reflection of the water, looked at his reflection in the water, and he fell in love with himself. He thought he was so good looking. And because of that, he couldn't stop looking at himself to the point where he loved himself so much that he died. He basically starved himself because he just loved himself so much he couldn't stop looking at himself. So he's just very grandiose. And that, you guys, goes into the narcissistic personality disorder in regards to the characteristics. A lot of the characteristics that a narcissistic person are going to have is they're very grandiose, okay? And by that word means is they fluff themselves a lot. They think they're the bomb diggity. They think they're the, they're everything and everybody else is blah, 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 blah. They're down here, and they're up here. And they'll do anything and everything to move up on the ladder. They value validation from other people so they can feel better. So they can make themselves think that they are good people. And also too, it's a lot of self-gratification. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they don't know really how to manage certain emotions. So that's why they are very aggressive, or they're very manipulative, or they always think they're right. They just don't know how to meet in the middle, and they are very argumentative. They're always right. They're very manipulative. They got to make sure that everybody has a certain view about him to some extent. And if they don't care. They're going to keep on going and going and going and doing them, doing them. So those are some of the characteristics. I know there's a couple of few. Let me think. Oh yeah, they're very shallow when it comes down to the relationships. They also, for some reason, it's very difficult for them to really withhold a relationship or friendships when it comes down to being empathetic towards people's feelings and situations or their personality. So they lack empathy a lot, and they're very contradicting. They manipulate people. So it's a lot of manipulation and a lot of they're always right, and they don't care about your needs or expectations. It's just about them. Because I'm the bomb diggity, okay? That's basically what it is with some of the characteristics. And the theorists, people who theorize as to why we develop narcissistic personality disorder is because we've had a really bad childhood. Either something wasn't met. Either you've seen abuse, neglect, physical, sexual, something that has to do with abuse, or you grew up seeing your caregivers have some type of mental disorder. It's always in correlation to not meeting some needs when you were a child. So a lot of these things are self-actualization stuff that you take as you grow older and you become an adult. So it just becomes a lot harder. You're very independent, and it's just like you think you're the bomb diggity, because you didn't have to depend on no one. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But that's what the theories say, that it's because of having a really bad childhood and not really developing those emotional skills. That's what they keep emphasizing, is that they weren't able to develop those emotional skills where they can empathize towards people, because nobody probably empathized towards them. Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's probably because no one really taught them if they were in an abuse situation or in a very chaotic home environment. No one really taught them those little skills. And then that's why they just kind of like went and developed these narcissistic like personality traits. And since they were able to climb on top, why change? You know, it got you where you need to be, you know? So that's what I'm probably assuming as to why these theories actually believe that it's mostly in regards to your childhood. And it makes sense to me. I mean, it makes total sense to me. Another thing too that they said was that they're seeing a lot of higher rates of younger adults developing narcissistic personality disorder because of social media. And it makes sense. I mean, we're constantly posting photos. We're looking like, you know, we look good and stuff. And we post all these positive things. And we don't post negative things. So we kind of pump ourselves up more than what we should. Or what's showing out there. And then people are like having this narcissistic battle, like, well, my post is better and this post is better, blah, 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 blah. You know, it kind of makes sense. Like, a lot of people who do have businesses page might develop narcissistic characteristics because they want to feel like they're doing better than other people. I'm so glad that I'm kind of not like that, you guys, because since I was young, every time someone would try to compete with me, I would be like, why are we trying to compete here? Like, I'm not trying to compete with nobody but me. You know, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm not trying to compete with no one. Like, I'm going to get there on my own, you know, like whatever I'm doing, whether back in the day it was sports, back in the day it was, you know, grades. As I got older, work-related positions, things like that. Like, there's a lot of people compete, like, without noticing, and I'm just like, I'm not here trying to compete. We're not competing here, man. Like let's help each other out here, man. Let's teamwork. And so I'm just glad that I was never really like that. But I know that I've had my moments where I feel like I'm right, and I'm very dramatic, because that's one of the things that they mention is that narcissistic people are very dramatic because they want to be right, and I'm right. I don't know, I'm just exaggerating, but yeah, that's pretty much what they explain. So hopefully you guys know how to handle that more than what I probably have. I think that if I were to handle someone, I know that when I deal with people that are narcissistic, I just stay away. I just do. I can't handle it. My personality just can't handle it. I'm too much of a sissy lala. I'm too emotional, and I'd rather just stay away from it and, you know, just keep my distance, keep it cordial. Throughout my life, I've never really paid attention to narcissistic characteristics like with people, and now that I've read into it more and I refreshed my memory in regards to this, like, I was like, oh wow, I have dealt with quite a few people who are narcissistic. And for someone who's very sensitive and who is empathetic, it's kind of hard sometimes dealing with people like that. I've dealt with people that are men and women that have narcissistic personality traits. And I will say that my treatment for that, if you are dealing with someone who is narcissistic, is if they're your friend, I would say talk to them about it and let them know what they're doing and how it's affecting you. If they really are narcissistic and they're really, really down that hole, more likely they're not going to want to listen, and they're going to be very egotistical, and they're going to think they're right and you're wrong. So at least you tried, but you'll never know. Maybe they've lost other friends or family members or relationships because of the same reasonings as to what you're expressing, and you might be able to make a breakthrough. Who knows? It's worth a try. But if they don't, my suggestion will always be you need to cut them out of your life. Do not be around these people. Remove them from your life. Remove that toxicity from your life. If you are in a relationship, I know it's a lot harder. Maybe you need to do a plan so that you make sure that you get somewhere, or you're somewhere safe, so that person doesn't try to hurt you. Because I know that some of the characteristics when it comes out to narcissistic personality disorder is they're very abusive. They're physically abusive and they're verbally abusive. Mostly verbal, but they can definitely be aggressive. And they're defiant, which means they don't like to follow other people's directions. If you're in a relationship, or man, like, I would say, yeah, just try your hardest to figure out a plan where you can leave that relationship, because unless you're willing to go seek help, because basically now that I'm kind of going into the treatments, there's not really that much treatments when it comes down to narcissistic personality disorder besides going to seek a therapist. Because like how I mentioned, right? A lot of theorists say that the reason why you develop narcissistic personality disorder is because of your past, because of your childhood, because of your adolescent years or your teen years. So you gotta go talk to a therapist to figure out, okay, what caused me to be this way? What caused me to be not empathetic towards people? What caused me to turn this way? So you can figure it out and then move forward. And then hopefully that'll help you realize, okay, so what I'm doing, yeah, it got me to the top. Yeah, I did me, but I don't have anyone with me. Like, I got all these things, but who's there with me? Like, people wise, right? Because that's what I would think if someone's really suffering with narcissistic personality disorder, is they get so caught up on their fantasies. That's the characteristics that they mention, is they get so caught up on their fantasies of being better than everybody else, and they have these goals and these aspirations, and they get there, because they're manifesting it. But then at the same time, they're so up here that when other people are not having those type of ideas or fantasies, they're down here. They're like, well, you ain't on my level, because you ain't on my level. Sometimes you just kind of have to humble yourself and realize, like, you know what, you're not on my level, but let me help you get on that level in a nice way. Or, hey, there is a way for you to be not empathetic, to turn it on and off, because it is important sometimes to not care about what other people think, or climb that ladder, because sometimes you got to be, a dickaroo, which means, that's like my little slang word of saying D-I-C-K. I just call them dickaroos. When you're being a dickaroo and you're being mean to people, sometimes it helps you climb up the ladder, because you got to stomp on people to get there. Sometimes you just gotta go. And I get that. I get it. But be mindful of people's feelings, be empathetic. And if it's difficult for you, maybe you do need to go seek treatment. Who knows? Maybe you just need to talk to someone, or maybe this video is going to help you kind of realize, like, wow, maybe these things, these characteristics about me is not helping me in the long run. Maybe you're happy being narcissistic. Who knows? But hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Please do not forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Also, don't forget to poke that like button, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell, because you will not know when my videos are going to come up. I do not have a set schedule, because my work schedule is like this, I modify my schedule with all of my consumers, and as I close and open up new cases, it really fluctuates, and I have to kind of just go off of my client's schedule. So I can't really set a date on them. I'm trying to figure out a schedule. My thing is, I just try to push out 4 videos a week. So at least you guys know that my goal is always to push 4 videos a week. Sometimes it's during the week, sometimes it's during the weekend, however my schedule allows me to. But that's how my schedule is if you're new to my channel. Oh, and before I forget, I will be making a separate video as to how to handle someone who's gaslighting you, which is basically a term that people use when a narcissistic person is attacking you. So they're gaslighting you. So I will be doing a separate video about that, because I feel like that would be too much information. And for those who really want to know more about it, you guys can watch that video. And I also want to do it in the Spanish version, so people can understand what gaslighting means and how it correlates to narcissistic personality disorder, or someone who is just narcissistic. Okay? All right. But anyways, you guys, I'm going to be done rambling. I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.